So, lately, there's been a lot of talk about ChatGPT and all the cool things and some not so cool things that it does all over the internet. So, in this video, I'm going to try to explain what ChatGPT is in really simple terms. And hopefully by the end of the video, you have a clear idea of what ChatGPT is. So, let's get right into it. To get an idea, imagine that you want to search something right now. What would you do? Most people would go to search engines like Google Search for that. You put in your search query and it returns a few results. And the problem starts where you'll have to search within multiple web pages and multiple results that Google returns to get a clear-cut answer for your question. Not to mention that sometimes you won't even get an answer, but the huge varieties of results that it returns might actually leave you more confused than you began with. And that's kind of where ChatGPT kicks in, or this is at least one of its use cases. It solves this problem, at least to an extent. In its own words, ChatGPT is a computer-designed program to chat with humans. Its purpose is to help answer your questions, provide information, or just have a friendly conversation with you. It's a language model that has been trained on a large amount of text data, so it can understand many different topics and can communicate in natural language like a human. And that's pretty much the simplest explanation to the question of what is ChatGPT. There you go. That was easy. Now let's talk a bit more about the history of ChatGPT and how it basically works. And if you just want to skip to the cool things that ChatGPT does, feel free to take a look at the chapters down below and I'll meet you there. ChatGPT was created by a company named OpenAI, which is a non-profit company that deals with AI research and more specifically generative AI. So what is generative AI? Well, to put it really simply, let's just say that most AI models are trained to find patterns on large amounts of data and put that data that they learned to some use. Generative AI actually comes in where it can use the data that it already learned from large amounts of data to create new things that haven't existed before. A good example of this would be OpenAI's own DALL-E 2. DALL-E 2 is an AI model that can generate images based on text we input. I can say something like generate an image of the Mona Lisa, but with Shakespeare's portrait instead. And it'll give me a full-on new image that it just created based on what I asked. That's crazy stuff in itself, and even better, you can try it on your own, links in the description. It was first in 2018 that they released a paper on what they called GPT, which stood for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Then they released GPT-1, which was trained on a huge collection of books, from what I could find. And then they released GPT-2, which could generate text based on what it learned. Then they released GPT-3, which had a lot more parameters and was a much better version compared to GPT-2, which was then further improved into GPT 3.5, and based on that, they created a chatbot, and they called it ChatGPT. For ChatGPT, their aim was to create human-like responses based on its knowledge to queries input by the user. Since then, they have released a newer version of the GPT model named GPT-4, which can also take in images as input and also output images, I think. And this is only available to ChatGPT Plus customers at the moment, which is a subscription service. But it was recently revealed that Microsoft was using the GPT-4 model in its Bing search, and that's completely free. Although OpenAI does not reveal how they train the newer GPT models anymore, Sam Altman, one of its founders, have revealed that they have spent more than $100 million training the GPT-4 model, so that's kind of a big deal. And in fact, it's become so powerful that it even passed the law school exams. So yeah, it's a huge deal. Okay, that was a lot of information. And now, let's take a look at some of the cool things that ChatGPT does. First of all, let's ask ChatGPT to generate a poem about mankind in 2 stanzas with a constant rhyme scheme. And there you go. It does exactly that. And if you'd like to read the poem, feel free to by pausing the video. And for number 2, let's try something a bit more complicated. Let's ask the bot to write a Python program that uses while loops to take user inputs and store it in a tuple named data as many times as the user needs by giving it a choice to add more elements at the end of adding each value, small array on purpose. And since the program was generated with ease, let's try and execute the program and see if it actually works. And of course, it does. And I also like how it added comments in the program to help the user understand what it's doing. That's a nice touch. And on the note of complicated things, let's try ChatGPT doing some math equations. I'm going to try and input a math equation to find its discriminants The best thing about it is that it not only does solve the equation and find the discriminants, but it also breaks down the process of solving it into steps so that you understand how it works. That's great. But all these were some of the more complicated things that ChatGPT does to show you how powerful it really is. But in the real life scenario, it doesn't always have to be this complicated, or you don't have to ask questions this deep. It can also do really simple things. For example, if you paste a link to an article and ask the bot to summarize it for you, it does so with ease. And you don't have to really read long articles if you don't want to. This way, it just summarizes it for you into small capsules that you can read. How about something else like getting some movie recommendations? If I asked the bot to recommend some movies similar to the Back to the Future trilogy, it would generate a list of movies that it thinks you'll like. If you really don't want to, you don't even have to do those things. It could get much easier. You could ask it to write you a 2-page essay about the First World War, and it would do that. Or rephrase a sentence to make it sound more confident, and it will do that for you. However, like any technology, ChatGPT does have some limitations. One of the main drawbacks is that it can sometimes generate responses that are irrelevant or inappropriate. This is because it's still a machine and it cannot understand the nuances of human communication. It does not always get everything right. In fact, it sometimes gets the most obvious things wrong. Like in this case, of course 130mm is greater than 110mm, and yet it got that wrong. So yeah, it has got its own flaws every now and then. But the good thing is that you can tell the bot that it got something wrong, and every time you do that, it can learn from that information you fed to the bot and it can correct itself in the future. Another limitation is the potential for bias. ChatGPT learns from the data that it's provided, and if that data was biased in any way, that bias can be reflected in ChatGPT's responses. It's important to keep this fact in mind when using ChatGPT. In conclusion, ChatGPT is a game changer in the world of artificial intelligence, and its ability to generate human-like text is truly impressive and has a wide range of applications. However, it's important to be aware of its limitations and use it responsibly. It's not anything perfect. I'm going to conclude this video by showing you one last cool thing that ChatGPT can do. It can also generate scripts for YouTube videos. And as a matter of fact, most of what you heard from the last minute of this video was from a script generated by ChatGPT itself. So, yeah. If you found this video entertaining, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and drop a comment down below. Also make sure to share this video with someone who might find it entertaining. And until we meet the next time, goodbye.